Welcome to Definitely Not Funny. Actually, the least funny person I know. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Definitely Not Funny. I am your host, Jackie Norris. And today we have a fantastic interview with the very speedy Adam Adelson. Adam is a race car driver who competes internationally with his team Premier Racing. He also works full-time at an engineering job and somehow finds a way to balance the two. This interview is awesome because whether you know literally nothing about racing, that was me before this interview, which you will be able to tell by listening to it and hearing the questions I ask. You'll be like, wow, this girl knows nothing about racing. But also, if you're an F1 fanatic, you know everything about NASCAR and whatever, you are gonna think this episode is absolutely fascinating because Adam gives us an insider's perspective on what it's really like breaking into this field. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Adam Adelson. Okay, well, hi Adam. Welcome to Definitely Not Funny. So happy to have you. Yeah. You're like, all right, fuck this, I changed my mind.
Honestly, this is the first time I've ever done anything like this before.
Really?
I haven't done I've done really just short 20-second interviews, just hey Adam, how was your race or something like that, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So I'm a little nervous. I'm a little I don't know what to do here, so you're gonna have to help me out.
You're gonna do great. Okay, so Adam, do you identify as a race car driver? Can I call you that?
Now I do. Yeah. If you asked me that question maybe a year and a half ago, I'd be I'm an aspiring one. Yeah. But now I think so, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I think you count as a race car driver.
Yeah.
What was your first memory of watching a race?
Okay, so I won't say that it's necessarily a single race that I watched, but when I was really young, I just used to love NASCAR. Yeah. For absolutely whatever reason. I don't know why. I just loved NASCAR, and I always just rooted for Jeff Gordon for no particular reason. I don't know why. But that's really kind of
to be honest with you.
Yeah,
he's a big race car driver.
He's a 4-time NASCAR champ, and just kind of a legend of the early 2000s. Okay. And that's kind of the first racing I really watched.
Fuck yeah. So when did you decide when did you start being this is something I want to do? I'm watching this and I'd want to do it. Because there's things I watch where I'm that's cool. For example, Survivor. I love the show Survivor. I don't want to do it.
Yeah. I would say that's the thing is I wanted to do it from a very young age, right? Being a racing driver was a childhood dream for me.
Yeah.
But I never really saw a clear path into it. I just didn't really know anybody in the field, anyone who was a racing driver. I didn't know how to get a racing license or how to even start, how to build experience or any of those things. But I started when I was, I really wanted to actively try and pursue it, I would say in my early teens. 13, 14, and kind of when I started thinking about, I'm going to get my driver's license soon. Oh, this is going to be fun. And, but it wasn't until, Nigel Agrari?
Yeah.
So it wasn't until in college when I met him and he told me his dad raced cars. I was like, how old's your dad? In his 50s, 60s? And he's like, yeah, but you can race cars at any age.
Yeah.
And it's not hard to do that. And I was like, oh my God, it's not too late for me. And I thought it was. So yeah, then from there, that's kind of how I actually started finding a path into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, was by really talking to him.
Amazing. Okay, yeah. And so then, did you when you were in high school and stuff? Were you going to I don't know, go-karting? I don't know what you would do, or were you racing around parking lots or whatever?
I mean, look, I'm gonna say I don't do illegal things on the streets.
Of course not.
And we're gonna leave it at that.
Perfect.
But no, I mean I like to drive spiritedly, and it wasn't necessarily
I like that. I drive spiritedly.
Yeah, that's kind of the phrase I like to say concerning that. But it wasn't necessarily about cars. It was about anything that went fast, right? Okay. Anything speed related. When I was 13 or 14 years old, there's a tiny mountain. I grew up in Vegas, and there's like a tiny like ski resort mountain, like 2 lifts.
There is?
Yeah, it's literally the smallest thing you've
snow?
ever seen. Like mostly man-made.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's usually like just this thing.
Yeah.
Barely,
Like it's
barely
enough
enough.
for you to go.
Yeah, questionably enough.
Yeah.
And like I remember I had a good friend whose dad was on the ski patrol, and he would like we would try to do top speed runs, like who could get the fastest speed. And I think they got me at like 60 something miles an hour.
Jesus.
Like not only that, but like I like go-karts, jet skis, quads, dirt bikes, like anything that could go fast, I was just all about. Like a little speed demon kid.
Wait, I love that.
Yeah.
So it's not the cars thing. It's the going fast.
Well, you know, it was always the going fast from a very young age. And then it kind of turned into cars as I like, you know, got a little bit older.
Yeah.
And there were some like influential people in my life that, you know, I spent a lot of time with who kind of like introduced me to cars. And I actually, believe it or not, my first real interest with cars were like remote control cars.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so I would like go, they had these like little tracks out like in Vegas, like by the Strip. They had like this like warehouse. They made like a little racetrack, and I would go and like participate in all those races, and I would like build them up from the ground up. They make all these like crazy kits and stuff. And then it wasn't until like, I think when I turned like 16 and I got my driver's license, my dad was like, if you want to learn how to build a real car, like I'll support you in that.
So cool.
So I started doing that as well.
So cool.
Yeah.
Like, would you ever put like an old car together?
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
More newer cars.
I mean, you know, the older stuff is easier to work on.
Okay, yeah.
Right? Because you have like all these crazy computers and all this crazy technology that's like in like a lot of the newer cars, right? That's just really hard to deal with from a technical standpoint. It's like the reason why, you know, you have these huge manufacturers creating these cars, and you don't see a lot of like much smaller ones, at least ones that do everything themselves from the ground up and don't borrow technology from the bigger manufacturers, is because cars are so complex nowadays that you need like a team of dozens or hundreds of people or thousands of people to develop these complex pieces of machinery. And the older ones are like simple. They're really simple. One person can do it all. So
where did your interest you studied engineering at USC?
Yeah.
Where did your interest in engineering stem from? Was it from these like building cars and stuff and the little toy model car, whatever races?
Yeah, pretty much.
I love that.
Yeah, it was like,
Were you
was
a big
that.
Legos kid?
Oh my God. you remember have you ever heard of Bionicles?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I was crazy obsessed with those. Yeah, like all that type of stuff. Like I was a kid, like I took apart pens in class.
Oh my God.
To like get the springs out of them and find like the stiffest springs, and like I would try and make pens that jump the highest, and I would get them to jump.
Would you put like multiple springs in?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You're like amateur
100%.
move. Yeah.
100%. And then I remember like out of old pens, like I used to make little BB guns, and I would like sell them to kids in class for like $5. Just like I was always taking stuff apart and always trying to put things back together. And then I saw the movie Iron Man.
Oh my God.
The OG Iron Man. And
I wanted to start building things after I saw Iron Man.
Yeah. And then I kind of had like that natural like instinct for it. And I was just kind of good at math and physics. And because there was always like a definitive answer to a question. Yeah. Right? Like I was in the English classes and stuff, and they would be like, the curtains are blue. Why is that significant? And I'm like, because somebody decided the curtains were going to be blue one day. Right? I didn't like that. I didn't like that it was so opinionated. And I love that like math and physics there were just anything science related, there's always a definitive answer. Yeah. But the ways you could get there can also be creative too. Yeah. So it's just that, the cars, like all that stuff, you know, it just kind of culminated into.
So which type of engineering did you say? Mechanical?
Mechanical, yeah.
Yeah, I know my engineering types.
Yeah.
I'm giving myself points for figuring that out.
Yeah.
So you're studying mechanical engineering in college, and then we graduate like kind of during COVID. Mm-hmm. And then when were you like, and then you got a full-time job doing engineering? Yeah. And I still work there. And you still do it, yeah. Yeah. When were you like, I want to do racing as well?
Well, you know, before I actually started racing, I did stuff called like HPD, like high performance drivers education.
I was about to say, that sounds like an STD.
Yeah. Yeah, I got the HPD.
HPD, chlamydia.
Yeah, there are going to be a lot of acronyms in this. So, But it was pretty much just track days, and you have instructors.
And this in LA?
It's all over the place.
Yeah.
Wherever there's a racetrack, they're usually doing them.
Yeah.
And I had a car that I was taking to the track, and it was a street car.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how I started it. I was just like, I just want to go drive fast. It wasn't necessarily about racing. It was about going really fast in a car.
So I'm very trepidatious when it comes to this type of stuff. When you said, like, you want to go skiing really fast or on jet skis really fast. Are you scared? I'm terrified on those things. So I do them, but I do them very slow.
Yeah.
Do you not have that, like, scared part?
No, there definitely is an associated fear, right? So it's like whenever I go snowboarding, it's like what I'm doing is I'm assessing the conditions first, and I'm like very diligent about kind of my risk mitigation.
Yeah.
Right? Is, okay, I want to go really fast only if it's safe to do so.
Yeah.
And the conditions, it's low risk. If the conditions permit me to go that fast without like having to take crazy excessive risk, like if I'm on a jet ski, right, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to try and just go to the top speed if the water isn't really smooth.
Yeah. Okay.
Types of stuff like that.
Okay, so you think about it.
Yeah. And I mean, you want me to talk about it like in relation to the race car stuff?
Yeah, I was going to get there, so that's perfect.
Yeah.
Take
So,
us.
yeah, I mean, there are tracks that are definitely higher risk and higher consequence than certain other ones.
And what would make a track higher risk?
A lot of different factors, right? So, for example, I'll give you like an example of a racetrack that's super like low risk, right? And it's Barcelona.
Okay.
In Barcelona, and Formula One uses that. And the reason I'm doing that track is because there's going to be like, talking about that one is it's going to be really easy to find information about that racetrack because Formula One goes there all the time.
How big are these tracks? Like how many, in terms of like miles, how big is a lap?
Like, I would say the shortest that you'll see is around 2 miles, and the longest that you'll see is a bit over 4 miles.
Okay.
Yeah, unless like there are a few like crazy ones that are way longer, but like
not standard.
That's
between
very
2 to 4.
non-standard.
Okay.
Yeah. But for example, like that track Barcelona, it has a lot of runoff area. So what that means is around a corner, right, there's a lot of space, and they'll have like gravel to slow cars down if they go off there. Or if if somebody crashes there, they'll go into gravel, which helps slow the car significantly. And then the walls, right, are super far away from the track. So there's a lot of time for if, let's say, a driver loses control or goes into the gravel, for the car to slow down before they hit anything, right?
Why is every track not like that?
Because it would be boring if it was, right? I think that's part of it, There's risk associated. So, for example, I would say some of the most dangerous types of tracks are street circuits, right?
What does that mean?
A street circuit is where they literally just imagine, and they wouldn't do it on these streets in like a residential area where you live, right? But what they would do is they literally take city streets, shut down all of them, put up right at the edge of the sidewalk a bunch of concrete barriers. Each one weighs about like 10,000 pounds.
Do they do this in the U.S.?
Oh, yeah.
Where?
I think I've done 4 this year.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Where?
So I did one in Long Beach.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. Long Beach. I did one in Toronto, Nashville, and what was the other one? St. Petersburg, Florida.
Okay, in like a city like Nashville, is it like in the middle of the city, or is it?
Yeah, straight up.
Way.
So like we went.
So does everyone go out for it and like it becomes a whole day?
Oh yeah.
That's so cool.
And it's like, the Nashville one I think is one of the coolest ones because you're literally pretty much going over the Korean Veterans Memorial Bridge, which is like one of the main bridges right next to the Titans Stadium. Like a lot of the track is actually through some of the side streets right next to the Nissan Stadium, I think.
Oh my God.
And then like you literally go, a part of the track is like right next to Broadway. So, which is like the main street in Nashville where like all the bars are and stuff and the honky tonks and all that.
You're in a video game.
It's actually
You're literally
wild.
in Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah,
driving down the Venice boardwalk.
I mean, I think the most famous street circuit in the world is probably Monaco.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Even
so, like,
I've heard of that.
Yeah, right. And so
I didn't
that's
realize
like,
it was a street circuit thing though.
Yeah, but it's the reason why is because, you can have some still really high speed corners that are like, where your minimum speed through the corner can be like 80, 90 miles an hour. There's one in particular in Toronto that was pretty crazy. And they're 10,000 pound concrete walls that if you make a single mistake, you're off by a centimeter or like an inch or whatever, you hit a concrete wall. Like, and there's not a lot of forgiveness there. So thankfully I haven't had any crazy crashes with me hitting walls, because it's something that you're very aware of. You know that if you make one mistake or you try to get a little too greedy, try to carry 1 more mile an hour too much, that the consequences can be dire.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
When you were saying like you 1 mile per hour too much before a race, and the answer is probably going to be yes, but I'm going to open up the question.
Sure, yeah.
Like, do you and your team go through the track and be like, at this point you're going to drive this fast, and here you're going to drive this fast, and like, kind of figure it out like that?
It's less a little bit like that, right? So going to like a new racetrack, right, is something that only kind of happens or you experience a lot of when you're first starting out. So that's something that I had to do a ton over the past couple years.
And when did you start doing this?
Yeah. My first race ever was in 2020.
Okay.
So I'm really
new.
2 years. It's been, about 2.5. I say 2.5 seasons, because the first season it was like they were pretty much all racing stopped when COVID COVID started. But then they realized like, hey, like this is, you can do this sport relatively safely and still follow like all the COVID regulations.
Yeah.
And that's kind of right when I hopped in.
Okay.
So it was kind of a half a season then, and it was mostly gentlemen's racing and club racing, which is kind of like, if you can, it's like flag football versus tackle football.
Okay.
Right, where your contact of any kind in between race cars is very frowned upon. Any type of like aggressive driving is very frowned upon. And then 2021 was my first full season of like real professional level racing, where all of that stuff is kind of like, okay, go out there. You should all know what you're doing. And, we're not going to say,
and if you get hurt, you get hurt. Figure it out.
Yeah. It's like you need to be aware of all of these different things that can happen. And you're not holding back at all the way you would be in like kind of that first season that I did.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is a sport I would like really, really not do well in.
It's pretty wild. I still can't believe it sometimes. But going back to kind of that, like what we were talking about earlier about how you learn the racetracks is, most of the time, if you're ever going to go to a racetrack for the first time, if it's available on any simulator software, right? So they're like these racing simulators that literally have pedals and a wheel, and you have a big screen, and it has everything that a race car has.
Does it like make the
much.
force happen?
Yeah, really expensive simulators, but you don't need that to learn a track.
Okay.
But first of all, you should be on the simulator a lot, which is what I do.
Yeah.
And then when you get there, before you're on track at all, you do something called a track walk, which is where you can take like a golf cart or like a scooter, or you just walk it and you just kind of study the track and see, okay, this wall looks like it should be straight all the way, but it has a little bit of a kink there. So you need to be aware of that if you're ever up really close to it. Or there's a really big bump in this brake zone, like right when you're about to start braking for a corner.
There's like bumps on the tracks?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there are bumps that I've hit that literally get the entire car airborne. All 4 wheels off the ground. Yeah.
Holy shit.
It can get like super violent.
So when that happens, what goes through your brain? Your car is airborne in the middle of the race.
Well, I mean,
are you like, holy fuck, I'm gonna die?
No,
or are you like, here we go, hold on?
No, it's just like, okay, I know I'm probably going to get maybe like a tiny, it's not like I'm a foot off the ground. It's like this much off the ground maybe.
Oh my God, I'd freak out.
But it's just pretty much like whatever's going through your head is just, at least when I'm racing, is hit your marks, right? So like every corner, right, has mainly, I like to break it up into 3 parts. It has the entry, which is essentially where you start it starts at the brake zone, when you actually start getting on the brakes really hard to slow yourself down enough to make that corner. And then you have the apex, which is kind of like the tip of the corner, right? Okay. And usually that's the part you want to get your car to. And then you have the exit, which is when you start thinking about, okay, can I start getting back on the gas? Can I get back on throttle? And you want to do that as early as possible. So it's like, a term that you'll hear a lot in racing is like hit your marks, right? So like, you know that at this corner, there are usually like references that you can have, like, okay, there's a black line on the track right here, and I know that I brake just barely after that, right?
Okay.
And then you get your car down to the apex of the corner, which is like the part, like the tip of it. And then it's like, okay, now I know I'm here and I'm carrying this speed and it feels just about right.
Yeah.
And I hit my marks there. I did the brake zone well. I did the corner entry well. I got to the apex well. And then at that point, it's you're getting back on throttle. How can you get back on throttle in such a way that you're not, it's not too early. So you're like, if it's too early, you could go off track on the exit. You could go too wide. The car just physically can't turn that tight at that speed. And if you're too late, then you're just slow. So it's all about pretty much just finding the limit of grip and feeling that limit of grip with the tires and trying to maximize it every single corner, every single time you hit it.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's really stressful.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so wait, so when were you like, I don't know if we got to this. When, because I think I got distracted and asked more questions.
Yeah, I might have been too.
I
can
both
just,
of us can keep going.
Yeah.
Like for hours.
Definitely.
But when were you like, oh, like this is something I want to like really seriously pursue? And not just like as like a hobby, but like actually really do it.
Probably after that first half a season, I was kind of talking about.
You did the gentleman's season.
Yeah, because when I first went in,
that's how we got here.
right? I mean, my very first race ever, it was me and like 7 or 8 other cars, right?
What is normal for a race?
Now, there are a lot of the races that I participate in, I would say average between 30 and 40.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
How do you guys all start?
So the way a race starts is...
Sorry, this is me getting off topic again.
Yeah.
But answer and then we'll go back.
Yeah, so actually, I would say the most type of common start to a race is you actually do something... Right before the race starts, you do something called the formation lap. And that's where all the cars just pretty much in single file, led by something called the safety car. Right. And the safety car is kind of a car that sets the pace. It's got lights, like kind of like police lights on it, but and they're all flashing and stuff. And they're going around the track with all of the race cars behind. And then during that lap, the cars and the drivers, they're warming up their tires. They're swerving aggressively side to side. They're getting on the brakes really hard and getting on the throttle really hard to try and generate heat into the tires. Right. Because the tires need to get up to a certain temperature. Yeah. And then pretty close to, like I would say like around halfway or like 3/4 through the lap, all the cars grid up. And what that means is based off a qualifying order, you are starting in a certain order. And qualifying, you pretty much is just an open practice session, but you have to set a fast lap. So the fastest car will be at the front based on qualifying, and the slowest car will be at the back. And then you grid up 2 by 2, right? Okay. So it's first person, right, starts in position 1, then you have position 2, then 3, 4, 5, 6, and they're all nose to tail, like this.
Yes.
Like,
and this is during this big lap, or no? This is after.
Yeah, this is right as the lap is about to end, and you're getting to the front straight, which is usually a straight section of the racetrack that the start-finish line is on.
And then the first 2 just go, and then the next 2, and then...
So whoever qualifies first, which is pole position, has the right to start the race. So there's a zone that's marked by like cones or signs or something that denotes like the start zone, and anywhere in that zone, the pole sitter, the person who qualified first, has the right to start the race, so they can go whenever, but they have to maintain a constant slow speed up until then.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And then it's crazy. Cars like fan out. They go every direction. Some people get great starts and are passing like 10 cars on the first lap. And then other cars get terrible starts and they just get freight trained from cars behind. Like it's crazy.
It's like Mario Kart.
Yeah.
It's like if you hold down A for too long, your car like spins out.
It literally exactly like that.
But sometimes you get a boost if you do move it at the right time.
Exactly.
Okay, so you do the gentleman's race.
Yeah.
And then you were like, I really like this. I want to pursue this.
Yeah. Well, actually, my first race ever, I think I started in 8th and I finished 3rd.
Oh, my God.
And in that series, it was 3 races per weekend. And then the next 2 races that same weekend, I finished 2nd, both of them. And I was like, oh, my God.
You're like,
kind of
quick.
Oh, shit. Right?
Is this you?
Yeah. And then, I started getting, not fast, but fast for my experience level. And yeah, it just kind of went from there. I was like, let's try going up a level.
Yeah.
And then that's what I did. And we had some good success there. At that point, it was clear to me that I needed to put in more work if I wanted to have the same type of success at a higher level. And
what's the type of work? Like, that's like doing the simulator?
Yeah, doing simulator stuff, a lot of simulator stuff.
Don't you have to have, like, neck strength? I don't know.
Yeah, so...
Am I making that up?
No, you're not. You're not. At the level I was racing at that time, not necessarily.
Okay.
The cars they didn't corner fast enough to generate enough, like, G forces.
Okay.
We usually just say G's, to actually have a significant effect on your neck. But I started racing in some faster cars recently, and I did a full first season this year, and we actually saw some really high Gs. I think our maximum we saw was like 2.9 Gs, which is effectively 3 times the force of gravity, right? In a corner, laterally. So it's like, at that point, it's like, imagine you just lying off a bed with your head just like kind of just off the edge of the bed, but then your head weighed 3 times as much as it normally does.
Oh my God, I hate roller coasters.
Yeah.
Like, this sounds awful.
Yeah. No, but it's like, and when I first experienced it, and that was at a track that had like banked corners, which like usually means you can carry more grip, you have more grip, you can carry more speed.
Okay.
And when I first did a lap around that car, in that car specifically, it's called the Porsche GT3 Cup car, the newest generation one.
Okay.
And which is just a stupid fast race car. And when I first did a lap around that racetrack, it was called Watkins Glen International, somewhere in the middle of New York. And I took some of those really high speed corners, that were banked. I was like, wow, this is something completely different to anything I've done before, and I need to like recalibrate my mind to accept the fact that I can go this fast around a corner.
And did you figure that out during your like practice lap?
Yeah, well, you can see the fast guys, right? The people who are running at the front. And in that series, I was running with actual professional drivers for the first time, and that was this year. And yeah, I'm watching them go through that corner and seeing how much time they can pull on me, meaning how much faster they're going through that corner, how much further ahead they were than at the beginning of that corner. And I'm like, okay, I need to try and figure out how to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God. My God. I'm like,
yeah,
I like have like an adrenaline rush having this conversation. Like,
yeah, it's really crazy. I mean, there's just, and that's the thing is it's not all the driver. Right?
Yeah.
The team.
How big is the team?
Everything. It's everything.
No, but like how many people is it?
Oh. I thought you meant like how significant.
The team is huge.
Yeah, no. Our team, Premier Racing.
Yes.
Is we are a grand total of 13 right now, I believe.
Amazing. And are you the only driver?
No, we have another driver who's also my driver coach. His name's Elliot Skier. And he's kind of been like my driving mentor over the past few years. He's really taught me everything about racing.
And so in each race, do both of you go? Like, do you get 2 cars per race?
No, so some racing series is just one driver.
Okay.
Right? And then other racing series are multiple drivers. So we participated in one of those this year, and we have plans to do more of those in the coming years.
Yeah.
So pretty much a driver will do something called a stint, which is anywhere between like 30 minutes to an hour in the race car.
Yeah.
And then they come into the pits.
How long are these races?
The ones I've been doing this year have ranged from 40 minutes to an hour.
Oh my God.
But the races that we're going to be doing...
Do you get bored?
I mean, it depends. Sometimes the races can be boring. Like, you're way faster than the guy behind, or you're significantly slower than the guy ahead. So you're just out there. You can barely see the guy ahead. You can't see the guy behind.
You're just driving in circles.
And you're just running laps. And I'm like, well, this is a fun... practice session
okay,
kind of but like I can't this is really boring, but boring races are usually good races. Yeah, because the ones that are boring means you're usually most of the time if you're in front and it's boring, that's the best.
Yeah.
Right? If you're behind that much, then even if it is boring from like in that kind of sense that I just described to you, then it's not really boring because you're frustrated that you're that far behind and you're trying to dig harder and harder every lap to try and get closer. But,
that makes sense.
But Elliot's awesome. He's been an incredible like mentor, and it was funny at first. When I first got introduced to the guy who I partner with in my race team now, he was like, "I'm gonna set you up with this driver coach. He's really awesome. He's about 2 years older than you, and he's like an engineering nerd, kind of like I am.
I love
and
that.
all of that stuff." And when I first met him, we gelled really well right away. We love all the engineering nerd stuff together.
I love that.
He was able to explain a lot of things that, maybe usually drivers just go off feel. He was able to explain like the technicalities of what's happening with the car and like what's happening with the suspension and what's happening with the tires right throughout a corner. And he was able to explain that stuff to me really well. And we became like best friends really, really quick.
I love that. Is he in LA?
He lives in San Diego.
Okay, not far.
Yeah, not far.
You guys can just drive really fast up to each other.
Yeah.
Kidding, not illegally.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
No, he's been an incredible coach, and it's crazy because it started out like I was 4 seconds a lap slower than him, which is huge. Yeah. Right? Now it's like on average maybe I'm about a second a lap slower than him.
Oh my god.
Yeah, which is
so you've been like getting good really fast.
Yeah, and
that's so exciting.
He doesn't like to admit it, but I am
not.
about 100 pounds heavier than him, and that costs a few tenths of a second, like maybe around like half a second per lap or something. He doesn't like to admit it.
So technically,
so I like to think I'm a little closer to him than what it really shows because because of that. But
no, technically, I think you are.
Yeah.
How do you, like, it's the night before a race. What do you do to prepare?
I play video games.
Okay. Do you play racing video games?
No.
No? What are your, like, video games of choice? Like, do you play, like, Call of Duty? Or you play Animal
Crossing? I play this one game, Apex.
Okay.
Apex Legends.
Okay.
And I've always been a big gamer my whole life.
Yeah.
And that one is kind of stuck with me over the past few years. And ultimately, it's not really, like, it's not that I'm like, I have to play video games the night before a race, but I like to do things that kind of put my mind at ease and make it so I don't really overthink too much, Yeah. A big thing that I do is whenever I have a race the next morning is I like to run laps in my head kind of at night.
Yeah.
And just think about, okay, here is where I'm a little slow and how can I find that extra time, right? How can I get a little bit faster through this specific corner? Or maybe if I'm going up against a certain competitor or I'm surrounded by certain competitors, you get to know your competitors really, really well, really quickly. Because something in racing is, I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent.
Go on your tangent. I'm here for it.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Sounds
nice. Is when I drove on the road, everybody always tells you, like, follow kind of like the idiot rule. Everybody around you is texting, they're drunk, they're not paying attention, and they're not going to use their blinkers, and they're going to do the worst possible thing, the worst possible time.
Yeah.
In racing, it's the exact opposite. You have to trust your competitors with your safety. That if you go for a pass on somebody, that they're going to give you the room, right? That they're not just going to turn in and act like you're not there and cause a crash, or they're not going to do something just completely irresponsible out there on the racetrack. So it's like, if I know my competitors pretty well because I make a point to, because I want to know who I can trust out there and who's going to be like a loose cannon.
So you guys like mingle?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Really?
Yeah, we all talk and
Wait,
stuff.
that's so fun. You have like little networking events.
Oh my goodness. It's crazy how many people I have become like pretty good friends with just through racing. Like,
that's so cool.
Dozens of people. And it's like, for example, there's a really great driver. His name's Rob Holland, and he's a pro. And I don't think he's ranked as one right now, but he was previously because he's a little older. He's past, I think, most of the intense racing that he did previously.
Yeah.
But he has been racing for more than 2 decades. And I started getting, pretty similar pace to him, which was awesome. But he has been like instrumental in my learning process of racing because, every time we go out there and we're battling on track, that's what you call it. You're battling with other cars.
Huh.
And whenever we battled, like I go to him and I talked, I was like, yeah, like, what'd you think about that? How was that move? And did I leave enough room for you there? Was I like, was I communicative enough?
Can you talk to each other?
No, I talked to the team. Yeah. But it's like a body language out there, what you're doing with the cars. Like, let's say I exit a corner going onto a long straight and a guy behind me gets an exit. And if I want to show, hey, I'm going to defend against you, or I don't want to let you pass here, and let's say, the turn up ahead is a right-hand turn. Usually you would set up for that turn by going all the way to the left, right?
Okay, that makes sense.
And because you want to pretty much maximize the radius of the corner, which allows you to carry the most speed. Yeah. But if I know that he's got a good run on me early on the straight, I'll move over to the right a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
And let him go through.
No, I won't let him go through.
Oh, never.
You never let anybody go through.
Okay, never.
Never. You hold on to your... I mean, there are times where it's worth just not battling because it's all about managing time lost. Okay. Right? You don't want to lose time. And when you're going side by side with somebody through a corner, you're losing time.
Yeah.
But I'll move my car to the right a little bit towards the middle of the straight and then kind of come back online to let them know that, hey, like, if you're going to try and pass me here, I'm going to defend hard.
Yeah.
I'm going to not try and I'm going to make an attempt to keep you behind me if you make an attempt to go forward. Yeah. Right? And for example, somebody, if they are going to make a pass on you, something that a lot of people do is they flash their brights.
Oh.
Right? They're like, hey, I'm here and I'm coming. And that's what they do. But back to the original question, right? What I'm thinking about before a race is, I'm thinking about what competitors I have around me and which ones I'll have to deal with. And if this racetrack presents any specific type of advantage for me being in the race car that I'm in, which is, in multi-manufacturer racing, I drive Porsches. Okay. And, we're racing against Ford Mustangs, we're racing against BMWs, we're racing against Audis, we're racing against Aston Martins. No, they're race cars. You can't really race street cars. Okay. Race cars are like very different. Okay. Yeah.
That makes sense. Uh-huh. I don't know. They're brands I know, so I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, but they all make race cars.
So like you're not racing my Ford Fusion is what you're telling me?
They're like pretty much built from the ground up completely different.
Wow.
Like crazy different suspension, different motors, different aerodynamics. Yeah. But that's why I like sports car racing, is because at the end of it, they are way more closely related to their road going counterparts than a Formula car is. A Formula car doesn't have a road going counterpart. Okay. Right. So it's like, but the Porsche that I drive, I can go buy a street car that is very similar. Yeah. Right? And it's not going to be as fast and it's not going to be as capable, but ultimately that race car has the street car DNA in it. Yeah. Yeah, which is why I love it so much.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
So what do you think? You're in the car, okay, and you're in your little lineup, and you're side by side with your buddy, and you're like getting to your orange cones. What's going through your head? Are you just so in the moment?
Yeah. So like for me, like whenever, I would say the most nervous I get is before the formation lap starts. Huh. Right? Okay. It's like walking to the car and about to get in it. And I got my AirPods in, and usually I'm listening to some like music or something, which is what I like to do.
What type of music?
House music.
Love it.
Yeah, but I just love house music. Just in any, I listen to it all the time, and all these different like subgenres of like house and electronic music. But I have like a little like hype up playlist that on my Spotify, it's called Go Fast Time, and it's like all my favorite songs to listen to. But like once I get in the car and once I'm fully strapped in and the formation lap starts, is kind of when a lot of the nerves just go away. It's like, I'm here, I have a job to do, and it starts on the formation lap, right? Yeah. I need to get my tires and brakes up to temperature as quickly as I can, and as effectively as I can. So you're already in it at that point. Right? And then with a race start, it's once you're gridded up, it's if you're not starting on pole position, it's you need to look as far ahead as you can, right? And see if as tight as you are. And when I say like you're gridded up, like you're nose to tail, like very often cars are just bumping off each other because everybody wants to stay as close as possible. And it's hard, like for all of these cars in a row, like, 15 rows deep, right? And like all these cars are stacked up all up against each other, and you're like bumper cars, and you're just trying to like look ahead and look as far ahead in the pack as you can. And ideally, you can see the pole sitter. And as soon as you see any type of lurch, it's go. It's like instant full gas. Like if the car ahead of me, right, was a little bit slow on the start, and I can't really get around him because there are other cars around, I'm like pushing his ass. Like I'm like, let's go, come on. Like it's and most of the time it's just going into turn one. A lot of people do something, a lot of people, they try to win their races in turn one. And that rarely ever happens. Meaning
What's
they try
turn
to
one?
The first turn.
Oh.
Yeah. We usually number the turns. So like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We number the turns so we can like reference them easily.
Oh, and they're numbered in order? By 1, 2, 3, 4? Okay, yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Glad I was able to figure that out.
But yeah, so, and, people, they try to go for like crazy moves. They try to like carry like a lot of speed and usually it never really ends well for those types of things. So when you're going into that turn one on a race start, it's okay. Let me try and be aware of my surroundings. Let me tell you, race car visibility is 1,000,000 times worse than street car visibility.
Really? I thought you were going to say it was so much better.
Oh, no.
Why is it so
terrible.
Shitty?
Because of all the safety equipment. So, first of all, you have nets on either side of you, right? Oh. And the nets, like if you're in a crash, they prevent anything that might get loose in the car, fly around, preventing that debris from hitting you.
Yeah.
And then
Or I guess from you flying out.
Yeah. And then you're in a bucket seat. And a bucket seat is exactly what it sounds like.
Can I just say, there's not a single thing about this sport that sounds appealing for me.
Yeah. It's really crazy.
I am blown away right now.
Yeah. And it's like, you have a bucket seat, right? And that seat, I'm telling you, it's like you're press fitting yourself to get into it. Ideally, that's what you want. It's custom. Most of the time, drivers will have their seats custom molded.
Oh my God, it's like orthopedics for your shoes.
Exactly, right? And that's a safety thing too. And then you have a 5 or 6 point harness coming up from here, over the shoulders. And then you have a head and neck restraint that the harness goes over, which kind of makes your like helmet almost kind of like a rigid part of the car. Your range of motion is like this.
Oh my God.
Right? And that prevents your neck from breaking if you ever get in a big crash. So you can't like
look over your shoulder like that.
No. And then the seat also goes around your head, kind of has these like flap things that go around your head like this. So
like in the arcades.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Race car things in the arcades, the seats have this like head thing.
Yeah, so
kind of like that before.
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
And so like and then you have like a rear wing, like the wing like on the back of the car,
yes.
like the thing that sticks up. Sometimes a lot of the times that obstructs your view in the rear view. So in one of our race cars, you literally can't even use your rear view mirror. We have a little screen with pretty much a rear view like parking camera that's on the whole time. And so you can't check your blind spots or anything. So it's like on a race start, it's like you need to like be very aware of what's happening around you, and you want to like try and steer clear of any drama. You just want to protect the car, protect yourself, make sure you're going to make it out of turn one, and then settle in and try and make some moves, try and pass some cars.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a lot.
How long does it take to get into the car?
If you're trying to do it like in a driver change, like in a race where like you're making a pit stop,
sure.
You can do it in like 30 seconds. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a lot. That's like you're plugging in your.
Well, what is like right before a race? Are you like, does it take you 10 minutes to get all strapped up and everything?
Oh no, like 2-3 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like as big of. Okay. Wow.
Jesus. No. Yeah. It's a lot though. There's a lot that happens like when you're getting into a race car.
Yeah.
Because it's like, first of all, the safety equipment that you're wearing like either a 2 or 3 layer fireproof suit, like a huge onesie, right? And then you have fireproof underwear all the way through it. And then keep in mind, a lot of race cars don't run air conditioning. So you can see like cockpit temperatures like of above 150, 160 degrees.
And they don't run air conditioning because then that's just like more weight in the car?
It's because most air conditioning systems, they run off power from the motor. So it means you'll be slower in a straight line.
Yeah.
But they have other cooling systems. So like, for example, I wear a shirt with a bunch of tubes that runs through it. And there's a little like mini refrigeration unit, like box. That's it runs electrically. And it pumps a cold liquid through my suit to keep me warm. And then you have a drink tube with like a little Camelback mouthpiece in your helmet. And then like, you know, you have your radio and then, you know, you get in the car and then you have the safety net and then the harnesses and you're plugging all of that stuff in and you're doing your radio checks
like,
and stuff.
Chat or you just...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? It's 40 minutes. That's long.
Well, I'm kind of a chatty Kathy.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you like to talk?
I do. I can just talk forever.
Perfect. Oh my God, you're making my job so easy. Yeah. So easy.
You know, so Elliot's also kind of a chatty Kathy.
So you guys just chat.
So a lot of the times we're just like talking and it's just like pretty much like we always like make like little funny jokes and like we're just saying like, you know, whenever we do our radio check, there's like this one, I think he's not Finnish or Danish like racing driver who like he like streams whenever he's on his simulator. He like does like live streaming and he always like makes funny jokes. He goes like mic check 1 2 or like if he ever like makes a mistake he yells like code brown and like we like say that type of shit to each other. It's like we're way more conversational than I think maybe a lot of other drivers might be. Yeah.
This is a part of the sport I'd like.
Yeah. But that's just because I like to stay I like to stay loose. You know, like I don't like to put pressure on myself. It's like I know what I'm capable of in the car and I know what my car is capable of. And, you know, I just like to stay like fluid, kind of loose in a flow state. And I find that like being conversational like that and being like just calm and just in that way, it just kind of helps me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You are very confident. I can tell that. Or you put off a really good air of confidence. Have you always been that way? And how do you do it?
Oh, no.
How did you develop that? Because you're so, the way you talk about it, it's clear that you are so confident in your abilities and you're just like, I know where my limit is. I know what I can do. I know what's going to be safe. And I trust myself. And like, I have faith in myself to do that. And I think a lot of people don't know how to develop that same like confidence and trust in themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, how do you think that developed for you?
It's just been a crazy ride.
Yeah.
You know, I'll start from when I started racing, right?
Yeah.
Because when I started racing, it's like, okay, I'm new to this. Let's just soak
Whatever.
it all in.
No one's
Let's
gonna expect
learn.
me to be good.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't try and be a superhero anywhere. Don't try and do things that I don't have the knowledge or experience or skills to do.
Yeah.
And just try and progress slowly. And then once I got a few podiums and stuff, I was like, fuck yeah, like I'm doing well. Like, okay, let's do that. Now I'm confident in myself. And then going into my second season, which was not this past year, but the one before 2021, was when I kind of stepped up into like the bigger leagues, like racing faster cars, racing in more competitive professional level series, not as a professional, I'm still classified as an amateur, but racing in professional level series where it's not gentlemen's, it's not club. There are a bunch of ex-pros, there are people who have done this for decades who are out there. And then that was very humbling, right? Because, you know, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm new to this. And then like, but I'm fast. I'm like a new hot shoe kid. That's what they call them. And I wasn't, right? Yeah. Then I get in there and it's very humbling. And then I'm like, okay, if I want to have the same success that I had previously, I just need to put my head down, get on the simulator, do as many races as I can on the simulator, do as many races as I can in real life, just try and find any way to try and improve. Yeah. Right? And the hard work starts paying off. You know, I start putting up better performances. I start going to the same racetracks that I did previously in the same race car and being a second faster, being 2 seconds faster. Right? And then I would say the confidence really stemmed from, it was a single particular race. And it was at the end of last year. It was our final race of the season. We were having a shit weekend. We couldn't get the cars set up correctly. And that's something. The cars, you set them up, right? The angles of the wheels, like their suspension settings, like how fast, if you hit a bump, how fast the wheel can travel up, right? Huh. You know, there are like all these crazy settings you can do with the car to change it. And we just couldn't figure that out right. the track was, we were at Sebring, Florida, one of the most technically difficult racetracks in the world because it's probably the bumpiest racetrack in the world. And very high speed, super high speed in a lot of areas.
What like speed are we talking?
Like, when I say high speed, I don't mean high speed on the straights.
Okay.
I mean high speed in the corners, because the corners are everything. Anybody can go 200 miles an hour just going in a straight line.
Yeah.
Right? Anybody can do it.
Yeah.
You just keep the car pointed straight and keep your foot planted.
Yeah.
Right? It's about the corners.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm talking about corners with minimum speeds of like 100 miles an hour, 90 miles an hour. And the cars, you're going over like crazy huge bumps, and if you walked over, you'd be like, oh, this isn't bumpy. But with how stiff the cars are and how fast you're going, you're literally going through the car like this.
Oh my god,
just like bobbling around, getting just tossed
in your
like you
cocoon
wouldn't
of
believe.
Safety precautions.
And you're like just strapped into this like cage on wheels essentially. And like I just had no confidence. I didn't have confidence in the car. I was losing confidence in myself. And you know what? I was just like, went into the night, we had races. We had 2 races on Saturday because we were doing 2 different series there. And then we had 2 races on Sunday. And it wasn't until the 4th race on Sunday that our team was able to get the car set up comfortably for me. And then I had my best race ever. I was finishing, anywhere between 15th and 20th on average in that series. And I finished like 4th.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And in that race, I had a lot more side-by-side battling action. And it just kind of, for some reason, clicked for me in that moment. I was comfortable with the car, and I was like, this car is definitely faster. And he's definitely going to pass me. And we're on the last lap. But fuck it. I'm going to try and hold him off. I'm going to do my absolute best to try and defend. We were going side by side through some like really difficult corners to go side by side through. And it just kind of all clicked. Right? And then my coach came up to me, Elliot, afterwards. He was like, that was the most impressive thing I've seen out of you. That is the best you've ever done in any race scenario. But it sucked because it was the last race of the year.
Yeah.
So then I came into this year telling myself, no, that wasn't a fluke. That was me. That was it actually clicking.
Yeah.
I really felt it, and it was really true. And this year, I've been just, relative to last year, I've been driving on a really different level now.
That's so sick.
Yeah, and I've just been really pushing my limits and getting really, really fast.
You must have been like itching to get to this season, especially. You're like,
oh my god, yeah. I mean, we were doing
how
a bunch
long
of.
was the season?
Depends on which racing series you want to participate in.
In this one that you were just at.
This one, February to October.
Okay, so does it start again in February?
Yeah, well, I think we might be doing a different series next year, which might have its first race in January. And then this year, I've just really just turned it up a notch. I just said, Adam, like, you are progressing at a way faster rate than most drivers do with the limited experience that I had. And then it was funny. I was talking to one of my coach, to my coach, and he's also my co-driver, right?
Yes.
My coach, and he, I was like, Elliot, how many car races do you think you've done? And he's been go-karting since he was like 6.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to include go-karting because he's done like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years of that and done countless races and that. I want to talk about car races. And I said, how many races have you done in a car? And I think he started automotive like racing, not in go-karts, since 2012.
Okay.
Right? So 10 years, maybe a little more. And he said somewhere between like 180 and 240. He, just off the top of his head, just in rough estimation. And I had just did the math and I was like, I've done 100 now.
Holy shit. You're like, I'm catching up.
So like,
yeah, and your reps in. You're 10,000 hours.
Yeah, and he was telling me he's never seen somebody take so many green flags, have so many race starts in like such a short amount of time. And now I'm kind of at this level and I have a bunch of race wins under my belt. We were competing for championships this past year. We didn't end up winning them due to some really unfortunate circumstances. But you know, there are a lot of really good results to just back my belief in myself that I am a driver that can compete at a really top level. Right?
Good for you.
And I'm not a pro yet. I'm still not a pro, and I don't know if I'll ever become one. But I'll tell you this much. I'm going to be one of the fastest AMs out there.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. And I believe that I can.
Yeah.
And I will, and I'm putting in the work and yeah, that's just kind of where that confidence comes from, is just believing in yourself, even if others might not,
Yeah.
and just putting in the work and believing that, regardless of what others in the industry might say or people with experience might say, because there were doubters for sure. There were a lot of people who saw me and they heard what I wanted to accomplish in racing, and they were like, that kid's not doing it.
Yeah.
But it's just believing in yourself. It's the most cliche thing I can say, but it's the truest, most important thing.
Yeah.
No,
it's so true. No, and I think it's like you have an awareness of your ability. Like you're like, maybe I will be pro, maybe I won't be pro. Yeah. But I know I'm a really good amateur. Like, and I know I can be one of the best amateur. Like, it's clear that you're not like blowing smoke up your ass. You know what I mean? Like, you actually have this grounded in facts and trajectories of careers and everything like that. And so I think that's so like, and you're like, I've got this information, I'm going to roll with it.
Yeah. And, humility and just being realistic are very huge parts of that too.
Yeah.
Because there were a few times where I was like, I would just disagree with what Elliot was saying. I was like, I don't think I can do that. Like, I don't think I can carry that speed in this corner. I think maybe, the car is not set up to do it, or maybe the extra weight that I have relative to you is not allowing me to dictate, is not doing that properly. Or I think maybe this way might be a faster way around the corner, or there were a lot of times where there were disagreements and stuff, but it's just ultimately realizing that, hey, like, be proud of where you've gotten. Be proud of where what you've achieved so far, and the experience and the skills that you've developed up to this point, but still recognize that there's always going to be more to learn.
Yeah.
And that you should try and take advantage of the resources that you have to teach you how to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
Also, I don't know, like, I feel like I'm just going like,
I told you this is gonna happen.
Yeah, I know, you did. Yeah. It's just because racing is so complex. There's so much, and it's like, we could sit here for 10 hours.
Yeah, and not even scratch the
I don't think I could still give you a full picture of what it was really like.
No.
It's like, best analogy, I think, is, okay, you know how, like, football and rugby are really similar?
Yes.
It's like both like an egg-shaped ball, and you're both like trying to get it to the other side.
Yeah, and you're both huge and have brain injuries.
You're both hitting each other, and you both definitely you're all getting CTE.
Exactly.
Now imagine if there were like 200 more variations of that sport that all fell under like the same parent, like egg balls, if you named it, or whatever, like football, and it had 100 different variations with a bunch of different rules, different amounts of players on your team, like a bunch of. That's what racing is like.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. There's a lot. There's a lot going on.
Definitely.
Since you've started, have you ever doubted yourself? Have you ever been like, I want to give up, I don't want to do this anymore, like I'm in over my head? And why did you not quit?
That's a really good question.
Zeke's waiting.
No, I wouldn't say there was ever a time like that. I mean, there were definitely times where I had a lot of self-doubt.
Of course.
But it was more like, what can I do to get out of this funk that I'm in? Yeah. And focus on what I need to be doing to better myself as a driver. Yeah. Right? Because, I'm somebody who very firmly believes that, if you allow yourself to dwell on the negative in any capacity, or if you're put in like a super high pressure, high stress situation where things may not be going your way, that the more you allow yourself to feel those emotions of stress and anger and frustration, the less that you're essentially just detracting from your ability to look at the situation for what it is. Yeah. And move forward from it, or fix whatever needs fixing, or just get out of it, Yeah. Like, that's just kind of what I don't even do that just in racing. I try to do that in every aspect of my life.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if I'm trying to teach my dog a new trick or something and it's not going well and I'm getting frustrated, I'm like, okay, like, Adam, take a step back. Like, you don't need to be frustrated with this. Just look at it for what it is. Like, analyze the situation and like figure out the best way to move forward.
Yeah, because your frustration's not helping you.
Yeah, and just focus on the progress. Focus on moving forward.
Yeah.
And not just like, don't let those emotions get to you, you know?
Yeah.
But and I'm really, it's something that my parents like pretty much instilled in me.
Yeah.
To have that kind of attitude, and I'm super, super, super grateful for it because it's gotten me to the places I want to be at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I will say is I don't know how much you know about this, but I've seriously struggled with mental health, and I did this outpatient program for OCD, and a lot of what we focused on was how to like kind of separate your emotions from your actions.
Yeah.
And what you just described was like the philosophy they instilled in us. And like, I think it's such a powerful thing. And the fact that you've harnessed that is like serving you tremendously.
Wait, thanks. No,
so,
that's
yeah.
cool. I'm glad to hear that.
No, it's like
like
a real like studied theory. Like that it's the most like effective way. It's essentially just like your emotions can be whatever they are. Okay, you're feeling frustrated because Archer isn't learning the trick.
Yeah.
All right, that can happen. But let's focus on what do we value? We value training Archer. So we're going to focus on that. We're going to focus on relationship with Archer.
Yeah.
Frustrated or not, that's not related.
Yeah.
Like that's so awesome.
I could not have said it better myself. Like, that's exactly the mentality I try to have.
It's like it's a full theory. Like
yeah. And honestly, racing is something that it's taught me, concerning that is compartmentalization.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you want to hear about this crazy crash that I was involved in?
I was going to ask you, have you been in any insane crashes? So yes, I'd love to hear about it. I'm going to be freaking out the whole time.
So thankfully, I've never been seriously injured in a crash.
Yeah.
Or really injured. The most like pain that I would say I've ever been in from a crash was I was walking funny for a few days, but that's because I had the seat pads out of the seat. I didn't have my custom molded seat at this point.
Yeah.
And I had the seat pads out of the seat because it made me fit better. I'm kind of a big guy.
Yeah.
I got hit just directly from behind, and like all the force was kind of transferred to me, and it just had me walking funny for a few days.
Yeah.
But I was completely fine. But this one crash, right? It was at Virginia International Raceway, and it has a really long back straight. And a back straight is like, you have the front straight where the start finish line is, and then most tracks have more than one straight, I would say. And the back straight is just like the other straight.
Straight is just like a long line.
Straight, yeah.
Okay.
Just where that's where you're gonna hit top speed.
So straight is where you go straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Straight is where
and T1 is the first turn.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're learning. Yeah.
I'm picking it up.
Yeah, but it's got a really long back straight, and I think we were in the slower cars that I drove, but we're hitting in race conditions, meaning like you're getting a draft from the car ahead of you, like they're punching a hole in the air ahead of you, which kind of reduces drag, meaning you go faster.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're seeing like racing speeds of 155 to 160 miles an hour.
Oh my god.
And
that's like an airplane. Is that how fast they go?
Yeah. I think
like
they
200.
take off like that. Something
That's
like
crazy.
that around those speeds. But this guy, it was like the first half of the race, and he had a brake failure. He was a few seconds behind. That's how we determine distance to other cars, like how many seconds you are behind. He was like 4 seconds behind, which is like hundreds of yards.
Yeah.
Right? At that speed, like how much distance do you travel at 150 miles an hour?
Yeah.
Right? Like 4 seconds at 150 miles an hour is a long way.
Yeah.
Right? And he was really behind, like not even, there were cars in between us. He had brake failure. And the way that this track went is it kind of at the end of the straight, it dipped down to the left and then came across right. So there's an area of the track where you're kind of traveling perpendicular to the back straight. He had brake failure at like 150 something miles an hour. Went to the brakes, didn't work. Car didn't slow down. He hit me at about that speed.
Oh my god. Where and how are you positioned at this point?
I was positioned like here, perpendicular to him, and he like, it's called like a glancing blow. He doesn't hit me like
T-bone you.
He didn't like T-bone me super hard, but he like took off like a lot of the rear of my car. And I had no idea what happened, and literally had absolutely no clue. I was just pissed off.
And wait, what happened to your car? Like, did it flip? Does it spin? What
No,
happens?
I got spun out and ended up in a tire wall.
Oh my God.
And I was just in the car and I was like, I just got taken the fuck out. Like, I'm like pissed off at this point because I'd been crashed into a couple times that season before.
Yeah.
And it was happening way more often than it should have. And it happened again. And I was like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
Like, I just got taken out of fucking nowhere.
And does that mean the race is done for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I limped the car back to the pits because we weren't too far from the pits. And I was like, okay, the car's still, like, I can move the car. So I'm going to limp it back.
What does limp it mean?
Just go really slow to try, because if something's damaged after a hit, you don't want to, like, drive the car more, which could cause more damage.
Yeah, explode. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it would explode, but right
That's
idea.
my knowledge of cars.
Yeah, in the right direction. And I found out that the guy did have brake failure. And he essentially flew into the forest that surrounded the racetrack, like 100 yards off the edge of the racetrack. It took first responders, I think, something 20 minutes to get him out. And I had a race immediately after that race.
Was he okay?
I was fine. No, he was not okay. Fuck. I think he broke his neck, his back, like multiple limbs.
Oh my God.
So I didn't find out what had happened to him or how bad the crash was until I was in the race that was literally like 30 minutes after our race ended. Oh my God. I was in a faster car where we're hitting up to 170 on that same back straight. Oh my God. And I see the air helicopter like literally evacuate him. And I look up and I'm on the radio and I'm on the back straight and I literally see the helicopter taking off. And I'm on the radio and I'm like, is that from that crash? And my team said, don't worry about it. We'll talk about it later.
You're like, well, that's a shitty answer because now I know it's from that crash.
Well, I mean, I knew immediately. Yeah. When they said that, I'm like, okay, it's got to be the worst possible answer. But, you know, in racing...
And you were fine.
Completely fine. I had another race in a faster car right after. And you know, compartmentalization is something super important, right? You can be involved in a really fucked up crash like that, like something where somebody could have lost their life, could have lost their life, and you know, or you were this close from something going really, really wrong. Yeah. And it may not even be a huge crash. It could have been your car lost a little bit of grip going like 120 miles an hour through a corner or something, right? Yeah. It's like something, you can get really, really close to having something really, really bad happen, but then you have a race the next day. Yeah. So you really just can't dwell on those things. You literally have to shut them out of your mind. Just take, if you needed to learn something from them, just take what you needed to learn, forget about the rest. And then when I get home, and this is something that I just do, I think a lot of drivers deal with it differently, but this is just something that I do. And I find it to be really, really helpful in a lot of those crazy situations where things could have been way worse or something really bad happened. Yeah. And then I get home, and then it like kind of like hits me as a wave. Yeah. You know, it's like at that point I have like a day or two to just like
process,
just to internalize everything, think about it all, like, you know, make sure I'm good like mentally with everything that happened. And then it's like, okay, now I'm going to work again because I work a full-time job. Exactly. And then I'm sitting at my desk sometimes and I'm just like, oh my God, like I can't believe what happened. I almost died. Like I can't believe this shit just happened. I can't believe how crazy that was.
Oh my God.
And yeah, so that's been a super, super helpful thing that that Elliot actually told me I should try and do and I should try and learn. But that's another crazy mental aspect of it.
Damn.
Yeah.
How do you balance doing the racing and your full-time job?
You know, time has to come from somewhere else. Yeah. You know, it's you know, there's only so much time in a day. Yeah. When I'm at home, I work 5 days a week. I have it worked into my employment contract with the company I work for, that I take unpaid time off to go race, and I'm super grateful to. That's excellent. To Flyer Defense, the company I work for. I'm super, super thankful that they provide me that time to go do it and pursue my dreams and passions outside. Yeah. But it's really tough. I've neglected over the past 2 years a lot of friendships, a lot of relationships, a lot of personal projects and things that I've wanted to get done.
Yeah.
Just trying to balance the two. I think, usually when you leave for a race weekend, you usually leave on like Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah.
Sometimes as early as Tuesday. And then you're back that following Sunday.
Yeah.
And from I think February to October, I think I did the math, it's something on average like 3 out of 4 weekends a month are gone.
Jesus.
For a race.
For the whole year.
Yeah.
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 Except for like Thanksgiving, the holidays.
Yeah. Well, that's just in the season from February. So usually you'll have like, October to February mostly free with some off-season testing.
Yeah,
and some training and stuff. But
mostly free being training plus full-time job.
Yeah, definitely. And also having a dog, that has been an insane responsibility that I've taken on. And he's 2, so we've got it figured out. And my cousins, they have 3 golden retrievers. My dog's a golden.
Oh my gosh. Do they live here?
Yeah, they live in Agora.
So do they watch him?
Yeah, and they and they have.
He must love it.
Oh my God, he loves it. They've got a 1-year-old puppy who's about a year younger than mine.
Oh my God.
And they're inseparable.
Oh
like I almost feel bad taking him back home when I come back from the race weekend. And he's so pooped. He just literally sleeping all day whenever I get him back.
Yeah.
Like because he's just sprinting around. They wrestle at like 4 a.m. every day. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But
he gets his summer camp.
But yeah. I mean, I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to this off season.
It'll be really nice.
Yeah,
I believe that.
Literally, my last race was on Sunday.
I know.
And it was like,
I'm so grateful you're here right now. This is awesome.
I'm actually super grateful that you're having me here. I never thought I'd be doing something like this, and that's something about.
You're really good at it.
Really?
Yeah, because you share a lot, but you share it in a concise way.
Yeah, I'm trying. I talk too much sometimes.
Oh.
And it's like
I have that problem.
Yeah, I'm working on like trying to be more concise.
I have 45-minute solo episodes. A solo episode means me talking to a wall for probably an hour so I can cut it to 45 minutes.
Oh God. Talking to a wall.
My poor roommate, she's like, yeah, I heard you recording last night. And I'm like, oh God. She's like, so do you just like talk to you? And I'm like, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but racing means a lot to me.
Yeah.
I have personal dreams and goals and aspirations that I'd like to do in racing. And also there are a lot of things in racing that I want to learn that'll really translate to what I want to do with my career.
Yeah.
As an engineer, I want to design cars. That's what I want to do. So learning and not only learning the engineering side of things with my day job, but learning the feel and like the intangible things that what makes a car special, what makes a car fast, what makes a car feel good to the driver.
Yeah. I'm
really grateful that I get to learn from both areas.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do. Is I think a lot of cars nowadays that are the connection between the engineer and the designers and the drivers are just way too far gone.
Yeah.
It's like I get into so many, I'll get into any random street car, whether it be like a Toyota or a Ford or
Fusion.
A Mercedes or a Porsche. And I'm like, I think that could have been a little better this way. I think this makes more sense to do it this way.
Yeah.
And I just see these things, and now I'm getting to learn kind of from both aspects, right?
So cool.
Yeah. So it's really, really cool.
You're doing market research. You're understanding the consumer.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
You are the consumer. You are understanding the customer and what their needs are.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. So I think, is there anything before I get to my final question? Ooh. Is there anything pressing that you're like, what, I really want to talk about this, or I think this would be really interesting, or that we didn't get to, or we got to, but then I derailed us?
Or I derailed.
Whatever.
That definitely happened.
I heard the vessels when we ended up on forget some time. And I'm like, how the fuck did we get here?
Yeah, exactly. I feel the same way. I'm just going on we're going on a billion different tangents and watch Drive to Survive if you want to learn about racing. I think it's a really cool.
Is that the F1 thing?
Yeah.
I started watching it.
Yeah. I think it's just a cool segue. They dramatize or dramatize.
I don't know.
Okay, one of those two. They dramatize it quite a bit more than I think it really needs to be.
Yeah.
But it's a cool segue for people to learn about the sport a bit and learn, that, hey, drivers are really athletes.
Yeah.
And this sport is is, can be so demanding, and that it really is team oriented.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the best things that's happened for racing, because even though it's just only covering the one type of racing, it's the best. It's the top level of racing in the world with the fastest cars and the fastest drivers. But if you want to learn about it, I would say that's a cool way too.
All right, I'll watch it.
If you want to learn about sports car racing, which is what I do, good luck, because it's I don't know.
You don't have a documentary yet.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, but watch Ford versus Ferrari. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, you gotta watch it.
I know.
Le Mans, that's endurance racing.
Okay.
That's like the most coveted sports car race in the world, endurance racing. I would say watch that. That's
how long
really
is
cool.
that?
Oh, it's long. But it's cool. It's a really good
how
movie.
long though? Like 2 hours or 8 hours?
24 hours.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they have 3 drivers, and they they split up the driving time.
Long.
Yeah, you don't have to. I'm just saying the movie. It gives you like an idea of maybe what sports car racing, where it came from, what it's like, and what it means to people.
Wow.
I would say if you want to keep up with whatever we're doing, you can check us out at Premier P1 Instagram.
Premier P1? Love it.
Yeah, Premier P1. And yeah, you're never too old to give it a shot.
Yeah.
If you can find a way to get into any type of car and take it to, a safe, controlled environment like a racetrack, or like they do things like autocross, like parking lot. They set up cones in parking lots and they just time you. You're not racing wheel to wheel with anyone. It's a really cool and interesting sport that isn't really well understood. And you can see that like so many races. You could go to like a racetrack when they're having a race weekend and you can see the level of work that goes into it.
Yeah.
And there's like no live broadcast. And there's like no...
What?
The series I race in, there are.
Someone's got to break into that.
But that's what I'm saying is like this sport means so much to people even at the base level.
Yeah.
It is so difficult to be able to find or put together a team and really become a competitive driver, but at the same time, right, I think I don't want people who may have the same dream or may want to give racing a shot to think that it's completely and utterly inaccessible.
Yeah.
There are ways to go do it.
Yeah.
And I would say pursue that and just go give it a shot, because if you ask me literally 4 years ago, and I started racing in 2020 and it's 2022.
Yeah.
So two full years, right? Even if you had said maybe even 3 years ago, hey, Adam, you think you're ever going to race cars, even though it was a childhood dream of yours?
Yeah.
I would say, get the fuck out of here.
No. Yeah.
I'd be like, so whether it be if you want to give racing a shot or you want to give anything that you're passionate about a shot, just like be relentless. Just get in there and find a way. You know how hard it was to convince my Jewish Israeli mother to say, hey, I'm going to strap myself into a cage on wheels and go 150 miles an hour. You know how difficult that was. Not an easy thing to do, right?
Oh my God.
So it's like, just
not imagine.
Yeah, whatever you're passionate about, it's not too late, Even if you think it's too late, it's not too late.
Yeah.
So just go for it.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, well, this kind of ties into my last question, which is, what advice would you give to your 16-year-old self? Like, if you're hanging out with him, and you're like, all right, little Adam, I got a couple sentences for you. Here you go. Go on your merry way. What would you say?
Is it, like, pompous of me to say that I almost wouldn't want...
No, you are not. A lot of people say that.
Because it's like...
Because you got to where you wanted to get to.
Exactly. Like,
so why would you change it?
I'm here now.
Yeah.
If I would say what I just maybe said a second ago. I would say, like, be a little more relentless, like in chasing what you want to do and what you're passionate about, right? It's, obviously I think it's always good to try out a lot of different things and explore. And I had I did like remote control cars and planes and stuff.
Yeah.
And then, I was snowboarding a lot and
do you like planes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just like
okay.
Okay, I'm like a mega engineering nerd.
Okay.
So I love
anything in that realm.
I love everything
you're
aerospace.
Excited about. Yeah.
I love everything cars. Like I also like a lot of military technology too, because they're also just like pushing limits
Yeah.
of what is possible and what is not possible. Like planes, like a lot of like fighter jets and stuff. I love that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it would just say do what you're doing. Explore your passions, but be a little bit more relentless in your search to find the thing that really speaks to you. Because
I love that.
We are on, time is so short and so limited. Like, I cannot believe that I have been racing for as long as I have, and it's such a short period of time still, and it feels like, like, where has all the time gone?
Yeah.
It's like we were just at USC together.
No, literally.
Right before that, I was just in high school.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, like, I'm 25 years old now. What the
fuck?
hell?
Like if I got married and had a child tomorrow, it like wouldn't be weird.
Yeah.
And that's freaking me out.
Okay, like I have a family member who just who's slightly older than me, who just got married to somebody younger than me.
Oh my God, but it's not weird.
Yeah, it's not weird at all.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's what's scary about it, is the fact that, like, if I was like, oh, Adam, I'm pregnant, you'd be like, oh yeah, you're 25. People at 25 have babies.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Definitely.
Like,
yeah. But it's just like, we just have limited time on this earth, and I would just say, hey, Adam, you know what you're passionate about this point.
Yeah.
You love cars. You're one of those fucking annoying dudes who cars are their whole personality, right? But just get into it, so you're not like just
lean
a base level
into it.
version
Don't be
of
nervous
that,
about it.
right? Like, I'm passionate about it. It speaks to me.
Yeah.
Like, just keep going.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, I have 2 more questions.
Okay, go for it.
One, can I come see one of your races in February once they start?
100%.
I would love to.
Yeah, because you could sit in a race car. You could do whatever you. Yeah.
I'm not sitting in the race car. That's moving.
No, not moving. You have to be stationary.
I literally will be like sitting on the side, like shit. I'll be your Jewish Israeli mother at the race, but I want to go. And 2, where can I get one of the shirts? I would do anything for that shirt.
Well, honestly, I thought about bringing one, but I realized I didn't have any extras.
That's okay. One day.
But we have a ton of them. I'll bring you one.
Or
when you come to a race,
I will wear it all the time. Oh my God, I'll represent.
Also, in the off season, there's like a racetrack about 2 hours from here.
Yeah.
That's kind of like a country clubbish type of thing.
Cool.
And like I'm a member there. And you pretty much can just show up with your cars, or they can provide a car for you.
Cool.
And you can just go out on the racetrack. Like, even if you wanted to do that.
Can I go to that? I don't want to go on the
100%.
racetrack.
Yeah, no, you will go on.
No,
100%. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna look over.
No fucking chance. No fucking chance. I will watch.
I'm just gonna look over. Hey, Jackie, you ready to die?
No, exactly. I will enjoy a nice little mocktail at the country club bar, and I will sit and watch. I am not going to get the car.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Okay. Yeah. But I will gladly go. That sounds so fun. That'll give me such an edge. I think it'd be good for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, it's crazy because that's one thing is like when you watch the cars, even like if you're like pretty close to the racetrack and you're watching them in person or even on TV.
Oh my God.
There are times where it looks like they're not going nearly as fast as they really are. But if you're
you see them relative to each other.
Yeah, you see them relative to each other, and also most of the time racetracks are pretty big places.
Yeah.
Right? You don't see like lampposts or benches or other things that like are of a normal size that you know what they are. Like it's kind of hard to judge their speed, but when you're in the car and you feel like how insane some of the forces you experience and how violent and just crazy it can be, it gives people like a whole new appreciation of it. It's really crazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'll go if we can go 60 miles per hour.
Sure.
Okay.
We can do that, yeah.
And you cannot go faster than that.
Okay, sure.
I will kill you.
Maybe. We'll see.
No,
we'll see, I guess.
I am trusting you, Adam.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Well, that's it.
This has been seriously. Thank you so much. This has been
Adam. That was so good. Did you laugh?